I don't see people that are successful in their fields
Even having time.
talking about what somebody else is doing, being negative. I just never see it.
Yeah.
I see people putting work in.
And that's the thing. Just based off this, like this, oh my god, I can't talk statistics. We get mouth. Based off like the stats, I'll say the stats.
There we go.
A lot of people like you see like just income wise, like a lot of people aren't making money. A lot of people aren't living comfortable lives. They're living paycheck to paycheck, and of course that leads to being miserable, like just naturally, you know. And a lot of people like it's a sad situation, but point deal, it's just like a lot of people instead of focusing and using that energy and that drive to go build a life for themselves and do something else, they'll transform that energy into negativity and go on the internet. Like even the whole, and that's a whole nother conversation. The people attacking billionaires all day, like instead of wasting your time attacking billionaires and saying what do you think is wrong with society, go try to start a business. Go create that Amazon. Go be the next Jeff Bezos. And when you get that billion, do what you feel like you want to do with that money. But what is sitting here and criticizing Jeff Bezos all they gonna do for you? Except you just sat there and wasted hours of your day doing that instead of using those hours to go start a business. Like, I just feel like a lot of people they need to make that misery and transform it into like passion and drive. A lot of people do that. A lot of people will take that misery, that jealousy, that sadness, and they're one of the most successful people in the world today.
It's usually a lot of musicians. Well,
A
I
lot of
won't
people
say
who
all
come from like
musicians, but like the
nothing,
rappers and all of them.
like that's their drive. They
Or
wake up every
athletes.
day like, I don't want this life anymore, and they work. They don't sit on the internet and blame everybody else for their situation.
Or athletes. Like there's a lot of basketball players, but just in general, football players, just a lot of black athletes in general come from these impoverished situations, and then they use that, they grind with no access to money or
Yeah.
resources or any of that kind of stuff, and they take that hunger and turn it into
Yeah.
something crazy.
Yeah.
So there's there's the two people.
Yep. And I for sure don't want to sit back when I'm in my 40s and 50s and be like, dang, like I really wasted my 20s and my 30s. Because there's a lot of older, miserable people on the internet now too. Like that'll be in Facebook and stuff. I don't want to look back and be like, that's what I did with my prime. Like, yeah. I mean, I guess that kind of goes into the next topic, what we were just talking about. Like,
What we got?
I was talking about how like rent, a lot of people complaining about how rent is really high, and like, which it is. But the opinion I want to talk about is
I
how
know what you're about to say.
there's a lot of people who complain about rent being high, but the stuff that they could afford out there,
That they
a lot of stuff that they could afford, but they want the luxury apartment, but you're not making luxury apartment money. So I feel like, of course, rent is high. Rent is
For
really
everybody.
high. The rate that rent went up doesn't match
Doesn't
with
match
the
the
rate of
wages.
income went up. It doesn't.
Well, it doesn't match minimum wage,
It doesn't.
but
And
wage.
there was like a fact or stat saying that like a certain amount of percentage of the people in the world or like in the country can't afford rent, making minimum wage. I get that, but I'm talking about a whole nother group of people who are trying to use that movement to benefit them, and they'd be like, I can't afford none of this rent, and then you'd be like, okay, what places have you been looking at? They're looking at 1,800 plus apartments because no, not to be hockey, but you know, like I feel like we have a nice apartment, and a lot of people want that because they see stuff on the internet, they see stuff, but they're not working hard enough for that. Like there's plenty of $1,300, $1,200, and that's
Even
still
cheaper
high.
than that.
And that's still high for people who don't live in the New York, New Jersey area. That's cheap for us. 1,200, 1,300, even 1,500 is still relatively cheap for New Jersey. There's plenty of apartments in that price range, but people don't want that. They want
not
the
even
floor-to-ceiling
apartments.
windows. They want the hardwood floors. They want the granite countertops and the stainless steel. But like, you're not making that money. Like, you could afford rent. Stop acting like you can't afford rent. You just can't afford what you want. And if you want what you want, work harder. Like, that's my opinion.
I think also minimum wage. I'm not on the side of minimum wage should equal. I don't think that there should be a requirement that minimum wage should match the amount of salary or hourly, whatever you want to call it. The wage itself should not be mandated to cover people's rent, if that makes sense. Like if I worded that correctly, like I don't think that minimum wage should be increased to the point where that is allows you to pay rent, because I think that a lot of those jobs are what in business you call low skill
yeah.
jobs, and they're
You're
not
not
meant.
required to do much. Like, if you're comparing what we do, so freaking advanced compared to, like, no offense, but flipping fries, like, and not everybody has the resources to get the education. And I get that, and we need those people. We need the people to make the fries. Like, we eat. You know, we need the people. You need people at every level. And I do think they should be getting paid more, but it's like I feel like people want them to be getting paid.
So I'm about to get in my economics back real quick, but
GDP and all that.
The GDP, it gets crazy. But statistically, wage has not risen over time to match the inflation rate of money over the years. And then they're trying to make swift adjustments now, where it's like they're basically like, what's the national wage is what, $7 still?
I think so.
Or something like that.
It's just crazy.
And
I was making that when I was 15.
And
10 years ago.
They're trying to make the swift adjustments now, as opposed to year by year adjusting the minimum wage accordingly based off inflation in the markets, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the big problem. Like, we want to talk about the source. That's the source of the issue, because technically, if they raised it with it, it would be way less.
People would still be complaining, but it wouldn't be as bad. Like, 'cause it is a crisis.
It is. It's a problem.
It is a problem. Like, we're not saying it's not a problem.
But I think that just because I don't think that minimum wage should be. All right, so we have to talk about this, all right? So.
Oh, you're about to say, like, how people, I think, like, some places they raise minimum wage, but then, like, I think it was Chipotle, they raised it to like 20 or 15.
Oh, I wasn't even getting into that.
But then people were mad that the food prices raised. I'm like, do you guys not know how supply and demand, like, any economics work? Like, do you not know, like, well, that's not even supply and demand, but that's just
a business. I want to make more money. So
yeah, that's basic ratio. Like, you need a profit margin. Like, if your payroll expense is going up, like, you have to pay more to your, and this is accounting terminology. If your payroll expense is going higher, then you need
to make up for it.
You need to make income from
something
your product, and your product has to go higher too. You have that gross, like, that, I mean, that profit margin has to be the same. Like, the money that you're making has to be the same. So with minimum wage raises, then everything else will raise. And not saying that it shouldn't raise, because, you know, obviously we were just saying that it's not raising. Raise. But it's just that people had to understand other stuff is going to go up too. You can't complain like, oh, burritos cost $20 now. It's like, yeah, like, aren't you happy though that these people are getting their money?
Yeah, kind of like when I said, when we've talked about, like, not that teachers shouldn't get paid more, because I haven't really thought about it, but if people are on board for teachers getting paid more, then you should also be on board to understand that somebody has to pay for that. And they're government workers, so that is going to increase your taxes. Yeah, somebody's paying for something. Taxes are going to go up.
And people are going to complain, taxes went up. Yeah, teachers got it. If you want teachers to make more money, yes, taxes are going to go up. Yeah, the money's not coming out from the ground. Like,
yeah.
So that's where the hypocrisy comes in. Because I'm all for raising wages.
They 1,000% should. But I don't think that there should be a requirement that it can cover people's rent for luxury apartments, or even just really apartments at all. Because what I've learned is that I'm not a multimillionaire. I'm not a millionaire. I want that lifestyle. I already do investing and all that kind of stuff. But there's still a lot more to go. What I've come to understand is that you can't have everything. Like, not everything in life is...
like, you can't have everything if you work for it.
Yeah, you can't have everything if you work for it.
But you can't just expect things. Like, I think a lot of people are just expecting.
Like, sometimes, like, I've come to be okay with sometimes you just can't have that. And unfortunately, we as humans destroyed life completely. We took a place with natural resources. We can eat everything we need, drink, live. We've been blessed with the ability to do that as a species, and somehow we turn that into capitalism, which is unfortunate. But the thing is, that's just how it is, and that you can't.
And we said that last episode, like, the system is what it is, and you got to play the game.
And some people, that last episode, like, and I speak from a privileged standpoint.
Yeah.
So.
And, we did come from, like, 2-parent households in the suburbs.
And
but we still had to work for our current situation.
Yeah, our current situation.
There's plenty of people who grew up in the same situation as us who were doing bad in life, like, really bad.
I think that people are put into situations where they can't, or it's just harder for them to achieve with education and things like that. I mean, I don't have money. I had student loans. That doesn't mean I had the money. I have the money to pay it back because I'm working to do that, but I didn't have the money up front. Nobody just has that money sitting around.
And that's where
But
the
even the
conversation
ability
goes
to
in.
get that loan
Yeah,
was
it's a
from
privilege.
is a privilege.
Even though they kind of do hand out loans to anybody,
The government does
to
it.
kids.
Yeah, they
Who's
don't care.
17 taking out $130,000 loan? That's
Yeah,
sick.
they're like, sure, go ahead.
But then we try to get a house, and it's like, nope.
Nope, credit score. No,
Yeah, it is kind of sick. And that's like a whole nother conversation about how the government is like an issue. But
But yeah, I just don't think that. I think that wage should have increased. I think they, honestly, you know what, low key, they should spike it. They should just put it where it should be, and
and then just let everything
and
else
then
fall into place.
have these companies and people really start hating the government because they're the ones that didn't implement the stuff correctly. I have a degree in economics, so I research all this stuff. I know all the data. Like
there's no reason that
there's
minimum
no reason they
wage
didn't increase it.
It's still the same that I was making when I started at ShopRite in 2012. Like,
but it should not. Oh, you know, the point I was trying to say was that some people aren't privileged. They don't have the same opportunities as other people. But the thing, and it's maybe even insensitive for me to say it, especially coming from a place of privilege. But it sucks. Like, you got the short end of the stick. So it's like
the last time, like, we had this conversation too. People who had the short end of the stick sometimes actually
got more than people that
have it
more.
better, because like we know people who literally
have no student loans
from nothing and make more money than us, a lot more money than us, and have no student loans. So their net worth is positive, and we have negative net worth right now because of our loans. Like, they're in a better position than us, and they didn't come from privilege. And that's when, like, sometimes I would be like, okay, like, these people got grants, scholarships and stuff, and, like, you know, because they come from really low income families, don't have loans because they got money, like grants and stuff. So that's like, you say people who don't come from privilege, like, lots of times, like, not saying that they have privilege, but they sometimes could make the best of the situation sometimes. Not everybody, though, because there's people who probably come from really crazy, chaotic homes.
Yeah, that's why I didn't even
with
want
abuse and all that stuff. It gets deep.
I don't even want to talk about that. I'm talking more so for people that can't even get into school because of they don't even have a high school that has books. Like,
a good high school too.
Yeah, like I used to do technology sales to public sector schools, which means government, like police department, schools, whatever. It's not gonna bore anybody with that, but when you look at some of the schools I was calling, these people have no budgets to do anything. Like,
that's why they was ignoring your calls. And
they gotta like scrounge up money just to get one laptop for like a whole group of students to share. So people come from high schools like that, whereas our high schools were, at least mine was newer. Yours you didn't, you know,
but
we
we
weren't
still have
there.
a good district.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Mad bread.
Yeah.
Facilities.
And that's why my whole thing is, if people really want to fix stuff, let's start with the schools. Like, if you want people to donate their money, like, we should really be investing in these schools.
That's where it all starts.
Because that's where it all starts, yeah. Because then if people have good education, they have a good school system, good teachers, then they'll be motivated more.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to finish this point.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get the short end of the stick. Those low skill jobs should just be for teenagers, people just starting out.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me that the kid... I worked at McDonald's. McDonald's was the first job I ever had.
I was a cashier at a ShopRite, a grocery store.
After working there, you couldn't convince me that a 12-year-old kid couldn't flip fries.
Yeah.
So
my job was a little more advanced because I was dealing with money.
So was I.
Cashier. You were the cashier, yeah.
Yeah, I was cashier. Yeah. I was handing out drinks, food.
I mean, you were older,
I was doing everything.
At least like a young kid could just be in the back making the food.
They can't make the food.
Well, they can't make it, but like bagging.
Yeah, they could put fries in a bag. Yeah. It doesn't take... You can't be like 45, 50, 60 years old
taking these jobs and wanting kids, like stuff that's for us, really.
Yeah, and wanting to get paid a wage that puts you in a nice or luxury apartment.
Especially in these days, because there's so much resources where you could get in, like, learn skills online that you could apply to jobs. Like,
you don't even have to go to school.
Mm-mm. My mom literally, I don't want to throw my mom out there. She's going back to school now, but she literally like finessed the life of 6-figure jobs, no degree, because she's just very well spoken. She's very charismatic.
Me as a business person, or anybody with a business, anybody that's smart at least, if you could pay somebody less money to do the same job, you would do it.
Yeah.
If I could pay a kid $9 to flip fries and burgers and do all that stuff, why am I gonna then pay somebody that's older, slower,
and the thing
less productive, more money?
Minimum wage amounts are more than enough for kids and teenagers.
Yeah.
I was balling at ShopRite. I didn't have no bills, so all my money went to clothes. By the time I went to college when I was 17, every single shoe, outfit, jewelry was mine. I paid for it. Like, my parents didn't pay for none of that because that's all I spent my money on. Was my clothes, my makeup, everything, my hair. I was in high school buying everything. My whole wardrobe was mine. Like, everything you saw was mine. And I was comfortable. Still had money left over sometimes. But sometimes I didn't have money left over and I was fine because I had bills. I was a teenager with no responsibility.
But some people have responsibilities.
But some people, yeah, and that's the thing I feel bad for. A lot of kids.
Some people, I
have
went
to-
to high school with people that, you know, they couldn't have a phone.
Mm-hmm.
They could only text over Wi-Fi.
And that's when I do think,
off the
okay,
iPod Touch.
maybe minimum wage should be higher.
It
for
should
those
be.
reasons.
That's not a doubt.
But like you said, it shouldn't be.
It doesn't mean you should make $50 an hour because it's
Yeah.
not worth it. I worked in these jobs. I worked at McDonald's, and not that it's not a tough job, but I wouldn't say that it's worth like 20. I wouldn't even say it's worth $20
Because
an hour.
to be transparent, my first job out of college was like $20 an hour. I was only making like $30K a year. That temp job I had, and that was not like a high skilled job because, you know, it was hard for me to get jobs because of not internship reasons. Like, I'm so blessed now to work at Prudential and have my job that I have in accounting, but that wasn't like a super high skill job. Like, that was people who literally were working in that same job who didn't even have accounting degrees, and I was still making $20 an hour there though, because like that was like harder work than working in retail or McDonald's. Like, so you're telling me like I could work that job at an office and someone could be making that same amount of money doing a job of half the skill? Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like,
And the thing is, people are gonna be all for it, and so those people are making more than like teachers or something.
Yeah.
Now the teachers are gonna riot. Like, why are people making more money than me, and I'm teaching kids?
yeah,
of
my
the
job's
future.
more important.
Yeah,
It's gonna get crazy. Yeah, but you know, that's why I'll just do a shameless plug. Like, I'm very heavily invested. Like, I would like to be. I'm not heavily invested yet, but I would really like to get into education when it comes to economics and business and teaching and doing all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my ideal job would be to become wealthy or rich from
And just
having
teach
different
people.
businesses and all the different things that I got going on now. And just teach people, because I think that's where it starts, is educating people. Like, you see people DM me all the time, like, yo, can you teach me this? Like, what does
Yeah.
this mean? What is this? And I do that. And I
that's
think,
why we want to start this podcast too, because it would be so much easier just to have like talks where we talk about like.
yeah,
Cause we get all into that, like our investments. Like, we both invest in like index funds, our 401ks and stuff. Like, we're gonna be good. We're gonna be set. Our kids are gonna be set. So, you know, obviously we want to share that information.
yeah,
That could be a different topic.
yeah. But
yeah,
yeah,
that was like my main thing though. Like, I just feel like a lot of people try to stick themselves in that conversation because they jump on a bandwagon. They see everybody's debating the topic of rent, and like I think I saw this on Twitter. That's why I even got the thing, because somebody said on Twitter, it's like, yeah, rent is high, but there are a lot of people who are complaining about rent being high because the place that they want is not the price that they could afford.
yeah.
Because there's people who could afford $1,200 a month on rent, but they want the apartment that's $2,000 a month.
It's the same
to be $1,200. Like, that's not how it's gonna work.
Even on social media. Like, I hate the because we were just talking about this earlier. I don't even think that people like 99% of the shit that they talk about or buy or do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that they only do it because other people are doing it. Like, I told you, we had the one example I used with Playboy Cardi fans.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's obviously a group of Playboy Cardi fans that exist, but because it's such a meme and we live in just a meme culture
TikTok.
and TikTok and everything, and that whole like the nasty generation that we're in right now.
Like, people want to act like they like him for a look.
Yeah, or for the aesthetic, like,
Yeah.
ooh, vamp life, vampires,
Yeah.
we're all black and wear skinny jeans. Like, people just hop onto things because other people are talking about things, so then they feel like people.
It's like they make themselves like stuff.
Yeah, like Chrome Hearts, for example. Like, Chrome Hearts is a thing, so now people want to talk about Chrome Hearts because it's a thing. Like, they
Yeah.
want to talk about, making
And
fake
people
Chrome
are-
Hearts jeans, and
people
people are
are
going crazy
Like,
putting
it's like an
Chrome Hearts
obsession.
nails.
Chrome
It's
Heart
like,
nail. Yeah, it's like an obsession.
it's like
Like,
people only talk
Chrome
about
Heart's been
stuff
out
because
for
other
like
people.
30 years.
Like, Chrome Hearts is older than me.
Like, I'm confused.
Like,
And it's just so funny how you literally got that Chrome Hearts hat right before the
yeah.
wave. Then you sold it. Like,
Yeah, no. I was buying Chrome Hearts.
like 2018. That was way before it got like hype.
The Rick Owens Ramones. Like, I'm usually
Yeah.
on stuff before everybody else.
It's
and
just a
then-
weird coincidence that you so happen to
and then
get
I-
onto it, and then it becomes a trend.
But now if I'm wearing Rick Owens Ramones or Chrome Hearts, then I'll look crazy. But
Yeah.
I'm the type of sicko. I sell all that. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know,
you're
what?
like,
I'm not gonna be.
not gonna be
I'm never
affiliated.
gonna go to a place and have somebody that has the same item as me. Never gonna happen. Never. I buy stuff that's probably older than me. These pants are from like the 1990s.
Yeah.
Cool, you can't even see them, I don't think, on the screen.
Yeah.
But these pants are from the 1990s. This jacket is almost 20 years old.
I try to do that, but I do wear a lot of fast fashion, I'll admit, but I think I dress it up different. Like
little archive, general research. You feel me? Can't find that, you know. You gotta go out to Japan to get one of these. It's like no. but yeah. So yeah, I don't care about the rent being high.
That's speaking from a privileged place, like we said.
Yeah, speaking from privilege, rent I don't think is high. I think the pay.
I think.
Well, rent is high.
Cause I feel like what we pay,
it's still high.
It's high, and for our exact apartment in South Jersey, it's like $1,300. If we had this apartment in South Jersey, we get a space bigger than this. Even the place that we were gonna move to was 2 bedrooms and it had a den, and it was like $100 more than this. But that's because of the location. We're right outside of New York. You can't really compare to Central Jersey.
Yeah, we're looking. You could go see the Hudson Yards over to your left.
Yeah.
Like that's.
We can see the freaking Freedom Tower. Like so. Of
so
course,
you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, and we know that. We're like, okay, we're paying for the convenience of being near work. You work in New York. I work in Newark. Like we're paying for the convenience to be. So we save money on commuting. So it's still like still weighing
checks
out.
and balances.
But yeah, that's the thing though. People want that. People want these penthouses, luxury lifestyles. So they was like, "Well, rent is high." Once they see the price, it's like, "No, rent's not high. You have $1,500 they could spend."
Stop buying Fashion Nova.
Yeah,
stop smoking hookah. Stop drinking alcohol. Stop drinking Casamigos all day. Stop being on social media, wasting your time. No, I'm not done.
But all the money they spend on alcohol and weed, that stuff adds up.
Stop smoking weed.
People don't realize that. That money that they spend on all that stuff adds up. They'll complain about how they don't have money and they're going out budget. It's probably hundreds a month.
Stop going to restaurants trying to stop going to Nobu thinking that you're saying something. Stop going to Catch Steak. Stop going to.
Oh, now I'm about to be at Catch on Friday.
Yeah, I'm judging all y'all. Like, don't stop going to Roost.
Well, that's people who live that lifestyle that they can't really afford.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Stop going to these places.
You can't be flexing like you afford that lifestyle, but you still live at home. Like, I think that's weird.
Stop going to Miami 32 times a year. Stop doing everything and get some money. That's a PSA. That's
the thing, because people, they'll be focused too much on trying to make it look like they have a certain lifestyle when they really could have that lifestyle. They allocate their money that way.
Just listen. If you make less money,
we stayed home for 3 years saving our money, and we were still doing stuff we wanted to do. But the reason why we saved is because we trying to save for our first house.
I feel like I'm the savior here. I need to teach people how money works. I'm not gonna do that on this podcast because I could talk about money for
that
days.
Has to be a whole nother
literally days. But people even with their lower salaries can do a lot with it, because the way I look at money is that on a $30,000 salary that I made out of college, within a year and a half, I had 10,000 of that. So you say 60,000 and maybe what tax rate, 20% maybe. So 60,000 at a 20% tax rate is $12,000. So $48,000 I made over the course of, no, what was it? 30 and then 48.
Your first job, right?
Yeah. So 48. Wait, well, that's assuming 2 years. So
almost 2 years. You worked at that job for a year and a half.
So it says.
Wait, didn't you pay your car off before
45. So let's say over 2 years I made $36,000. Out of that $36,000 that I took gross, by the time I quit that job, I had $10,000 in investments.
You had a lot of money. I was confused when I saw you. Something like how?
Yeah.
How did you flip that? Like, you flipped that low salary and like
flipped it into something crazy.
Paid your car like halfway paid off at that point.
Yeah, I paid my car off in 2 years. I paid $27,000 for it and paid it off in 2 years on the second on the second year anniversary. Mm-hmm. But
brand new car too. You got in brand new 2018 and you paid it off in 2020. So it's like you were able to pay a almost $30,000 car off in 2 years.
Like, making $48,000.
Yeah.
But the reason I was able to do that, what I wanted to say was that I when you understand money, you look at it differently. So money is more so like it's a tool. So like
you can make money off of money.
You can make money off your money. And that's the way I did it, is that I took so much of my money. First of all, no. Let me run it back, because this is how people get caught up in the get rich quick schemes and stuff like that. What I did was a lot of research. I went to school, first of all, for years studied how all this stuff works. And my free time is where I get most of my game from. Like you see me, you can hear me listening to videos and doing research and reading the news and nonstop. So I'll do things and I'll watch somebody else's podcast for an hour of entertainment and then go take 3 hours and then go listen to how other people that are wealthy explain how all this stuff works, how money works.
Like Warren Buffett is like a big driver into like, you know, what we're trying to do.
Buffett, Charlie Munger, Bezos, Musk. There's so many people.
And a lot of them all literally say the same thing.
Same things. And
like people be so trying to like get money fast or like
Richard Branson, Benjamin Graham. I could give a million investors and businessmen that give all the keys.
And they all kind of like they give different advice, but they all kind of agree on the long-term investing.
Yeah, and aside from that, it's mostly just make your money make money, because the amount
saving is overrated.
So for example, I might invest in something that made me 30% returns, or even if it's 10% returns or 20% returns, even if it's 1% return, that return number, if you ignore the money part of it, that percent number is how much percent less you had to work to get that dollar or that amount of money. You had to work 30% less because it grew on its own. You had to work 50% less because it grew on its own. If you have 100% returns, you didn't have to work at all. And it just did its own thing. And that's the way I'm able to make so much money now and buy a lot of the stuff that I buy. Or back then when I was making pretty much nothing, I made basically in a year and a half, I made $48,000. And had 10,000 invested, not saved. I just had money saved outside of that. That's close to 30% of my of what I made in a year and a half was invested, and that money grew. It's not that I invested 10,000; it's that I probably invested maybe half of that, if that, and it grew to 10K.
Yeah, and I get people's reluctancy. Like it's easier said than done.
People are reluctant,
especially when you like, you know, like we always say, we speak from a privileged place. Like it's easy to do that while, you know, like you're still living under your parents' roof and they're not making you pay anything. You know, it's I get that's easier said than done. But like we're speaking directly to people, because there's a lot of people out there who literally make so many excuses and are in privileged position themselves. Like lots of times my criticism is not to people who are struggling. My criticism is mostly to people who are literally in the same exact position, if not more privileged than we are, growing up in the same type of environment that we grew up in, the same type of family, home life. And like you were saying, spending their money, going out all the time and buying clothes all the time. That's the people who I'd be criticizing, because like you guys are making excuses and banking on the fact that you might be rich one day instead of actually investing your money.
Yeah. And
saying like you know, we were saying like play the game. Like, and even if you don't make a lot of money and you have a career that's not high paying, like we're literally proving you can still flip it, because our first jobs out of college were not high paying. Even though we have valuable degrees, we didn't have internships and stuff. And that kind of got us out of the race, because in our careers they're very competitive. Accounting specifically is super competitive, especially if you want to go to public accounting. And we kind of had to suck it up. We didn't make excuses. We were like, all right, we didn't really work super hard in college as we could have, you know, and got these internships and like, you know, really worked to get those internships. And we accepted that our first jobs were pretty low paying, like, and just like, you know, regular. And what did we do? Worked super hard for a year and got the jobs that we have now. Our current jobs. My salary more than doubled. Yours more than doubled, right? So we didn't make excuses. You know how easy we could have made excuses back then? And both of us got brand new cars. We both got brand new cars months apart. Him in May 2018, literally the day before graduation.
Yeah.
And I got mine September, like right after my birthday. And with my low paying job, I saved $1,000, I think a week. I mean, not a week. Every 2 weeks or a month. And I put down like $6,000 on my car.
It's all about finesse. This is just funny, and I want to get to the next topic.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
We have one more topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about like you said, make your money work for itself and like take advantage. Like a lot of people just live at home with their parents. What are you doing?
Keep talking.
A lot of people live at home with their parents and don't take advantage of that. Like, there's no point in bragging about your parents still paying your phone or still living with your, it's like out of focus. It's okay. But there's no, I'll wait for it to focus back. People who are listening, we're having camera struggles. So All right, I think it's about to focus back. Where is it focus? Okay, real. Okay, like I was saying, there's no point in still like, oh, my parents still pay my phone. Like, shout out to them. My parents do that. Like, there's no point in bragging about that, and like, or not even just bragging, but there's no point in like taking it, like, of having that privilege, and you're not gonna take advantage of it. Like, if you're still living at home, like straight out of college, which is what we did for 3 years, still living at home, still having your parents pay for a lot of your bills, that's really the time to build your foundation. Like, if anything, that's the best time to build your investment portfolio and to really take advantage of the fact that you have your parents' help. Like, that's the best thing you could do for your parents, is actually show them that you appreciate the help and that you're actually trying to make those steps to build your foundation. Like, there's no point in your parents helping you adjust to adulthood if you're literally going to sit there and ride in their coattails until you're like 30. Like, you're still like almost 30, still living at home with nothing to show for it. No credit score built because you didn't try to get assets of your own. No savings, no investment portfolio. Like, you literally, that's like a slap. And that's a slap in the face to your parents, right? Like, you didn't even really take their help for what it was for. The point of your parents doing that is really so you could get your running start, and that's the best way to do it. Like, that's the best time when you really don't have to have big grown-up bills. Like, you're an adult making adult money and don't even have adult bills yet. That's the best time, honestly. Like, that post-grad era, especially, like, there's a lot of people who make good money, like, going out of college. Like, our salaries that we have now, there's like a lot of people who make that actually fresh out of college, but their parents still not, like, making them pay for anything. That's the real time. That's the best time. I mean, even us moving, we didn't have to move. Our parents weren't pressed for us to get out, but, after 3 years, we felt like we were ready. And 3 years is still a long time. Like, a lot of people are so quick to move out, like, and eager to move out, which it's circumstantial. But we were just like, it sucks being here, especially being in a relationship. But we're like, just tunnel vision, and let's get our investment portfolios up and running.
Don't have tunnel vision.
No, I have tunnel vision.
Never have tunnel vision.
I have tunnel vision. It worked out for me. 100%.
No, you gotta always look at the bigger picture.
I mean, there's variables and stuff happens.
No, I think having goals.
Yeah.
Have a goal and go towards that goal, but
and know that things might happen.
Ignoring things that are over here and over here is what's gonna come back to kill you. I know what you're saying, but I gotta criticize a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a biased place.
Tunnel vision. I know what you mean though. But tunnel vision isn't the right thing because like that's literally what that means is you ignore outside variables. But you're saying just be driven.
Yeah, that's more so what I mean. Like imagine like I'm standing way back here and I see my goal over there. Yeah. And there might be other stuff that get thrown, but I'm still constantly moving forward.
Yeah, I know I
think that's what that means.
Yeah, tunnel vision. Yeah, it's a weird phrase, but
because every goal I've had for myself, I've literally accomplished. The last thing that is really my hurdle is the CPA stuff. This is like probably the biggest challenge I've ever had to deal with. And I'm gonna get it, but I've accomplished every goal I've had on my list. Got my car, got my apartment, got my job, got my degrees. What's next? Kids. A house. That's next. A house. Kids. Yeah. But yeah,